y'all. Hey, what's happening? What's going on? Happy Thursday. Welcome and welcome back to another episode of the B Mix right here only on BigSwellsRadio.com. You already know who Thursday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time are for. Everyone, the unseen, the unheard, sorry, the overlooked, the forgotten, whether it be the forgotten part of you or for the person that does not belong anywhere, me, be. So, welcome in the strength of welcoming and welcoming back. Welcome back, Jasmine, y'all. She's a special guest every single time she's here. She's near and dear to me. Welcome, Jasmine, back, y'all. She's back.
Hey.
Keep coming back. And this hair, ma'am, I love it.
I know, right? It looks so much better on camera. Like, I think it looked good in person too, because I have been getting a few hollers, but
come on, hollers.
I started Instacart this week, and I met this guy last night at Giant, and I was like, "It's the hair."
See, and then my problem will be this is one of the it's a dumb reason, but it's one of the minor reasons why I think I'm getting closer at some point in life to like try out wigs, right? And this is why I say I probably would not want to try wigs because I would want to I would be so tempted to test that theory. Like if it was to be like, oh, it must be the hair, and snatch it. So what about now?
Right.
You want my
even though I will say I do get compliments on the fro too. Guys be like, I like your hair. And I'll be like, cool. But there's some of them be going real ethno with it, like, oh, I like your hair, queen. This boy told me you giving me Erykah Badu vibes.
Okay, Erykah. Yes, come on, mother.
But I like the switch up. The switch up is fun for me.
And y'all can I'm gonna grow up. I just be showing up, just being.
Listen, I'm so lazy. First of all, like I don't know if I said it on the last one, but this is not attached to my head. I just put this hat on because I'm like, I braided my hair up. I do my braid out, so I try to let the braids sit in a few days so they could get crinkly. I took it out last Friday, so last Friday I didn't have the wig. Last Thursday, did I have the wig on?
No, you have.
A braid out,
girl. Don't give me. I know I kept telling you that you look so pretty, so I just said that I don't remember how your hair was. You just looked. So
I think it was the braid out. I took the braids out on Thursday, but leading up, I had the wig on. But now I'm doing the braids back in so the crinkles can stay popping. So the hat and wig combo is back. This is not a wig by itself situation.
Listen, and the crazy was I was bringing up wig. See, I'm my bad. I hope you do not think I was going y'all right. So I was saying I didn't even know. It's like I legit was thinking like this is y'all know I don't know about hair. Little known Black history fact about Benia. I know nothing about hair. I just root for. That's the thing. That's the beauty about me, my innocence. And maybe it's when I legit can root for something and know nothing about it. So I automatically assumed that it was like a sew-in or something like that, and it was cute. Just put the head on. But I was saying like this is why I think that I keep talking myself out of getting into wigs because it would be like something simple like that, like where I would test the theory, like you were saying earlier. When you think like it's the hair or whatever, like with the hollers, like I legit would want to snatch mine.
No, I'm rooting for you to do the wig because it's fun.
I know.
And I literally have no shame in my game that this is not a sew on, this lace is not attached, and this hat is the only reason why it's on. And I like it because we're on the run, I'm on the go. And as soon as I get home, I snatch this thing off and boom.
I'm not even listen.
And I don't know nothing about hair either, Benia. That's the funny thing.
Thank you. Well, thank you, because it makes me thank you. I need support because
the first part of my self-love journey was getting more in tune with my hair.
Okay. I like that. Okay, that's good. And I feel like some, I'm gonna just say some. I really almost want to say all, if not most, of us. I feel like that's probably like with the whole natural movement, you know what I mean? Natural hair movement. I feel like that really could relate for most of us, even probably just unbeknownst to us, right? But I mean, you gotta, about like image, like that has to do something with, but the fact that you acknowledged that in real time, I'm sure that did, something excuse me, better for you versus me now trying to think like, I guess that's what started my journey. I wouldn't even know. Definitely didn't know I was on a self-love journey then, but it makes sense. Definitely makes sense. And so I'm gonna have to go back and try to bob and weave and
because I started the journey with a big chop.
Okay, I did.
And so like I've had a chance to like, as my hair grew, try different things out, watch YouTube was my best friend.
Got it.
And eventually, as I was going through, like for me, I felt like an awkward stage between my natural hair and not necessarily knowing what to do. I wanted to venture out into other realms. I started like watching a lot of YouTube videos around wigs. And that's when I got really into like my favorite thing to watch on one of my favorite things to watch on YouTube is reviews on different things that I have an interest in buying but don't know anything about.
Good for you. I never did that. Ever.
Wigs is it. I watched wig YouTube videos for like a month. And I was like, yo, I gotta get me a wig. Like, I got to.
Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna grow up because this is very, very pretty. Like, very pretty. I don't, and it's crazy because I'm not gonna stay on here, y'all, I promise. But for me not to know anything about hair, that's probably why I'm so like fascinated by it. I used to love, like, I literally love going to, shout out to Jade. Oh Lord, I'm about to say her tomorrow. But so she has her own suite, right? But I often think back, like, dang, I kind of miss back when she was in, I said, we call it a shop. So a shop. So I just like watching hair being done. But so nowadays you can catch me watching, like, just because it's on like the, was it For You page or whatever, like hair videos, but I've never like intentionally gone to go watch, hair to be done, like just never, unless sometimes, like when I still have my bush and all that. Like right now I'm going through this thing of like, I want to blow out. So I keep joking, like, I'm
that's because Jay just did them blowout videos.
Yes, I'm jealous, and it's like I'm hating. Yes, like
every time I watch, I say one of these days I'm going to remember that I want to go get my hair done and actually set aside the time.
Listen,
I really don't like getting my hair done. I'm lazy like that. Like, I hate getting my hair done. I feel like I'm trapped in like maybe a child mind where like it hurt. I gotta sit still. It takes too long. My leg be getting jittery. I'll be ready to get up. It just be so much. So I really be having to work myself up. Yeah. And before I went natural, I did go to the hairdresser more often because I didn't know how to do my hair. And so I didn't know how to flat iron. I didn't know how to perm it. And then I did start to. And then eventually I got tired of it. I burnt my hair out one time and then had to get it cut.
Girl, I did that. I did that in recent years, maybe like 3 years ago, something like that. So my bush was the biggest and prettiest it had ever been. And I don't even want to talk about it.
What'd you do to it?
Fried it off. Fried it. It's
flat irons?
It wasn't flat irons. It's like I can't even remember what it's like it's a flat iron. It's not the blow dry brush one, but it's something like that. I see, that's all I know about hair, so I wouldn't be able to say, but I know it has like nozzles or whatever. I mean, like teeth or whatever. Like, so it's like a brush thing, but it was like to straighten it. So it did the job before, but I think I was right. It's not, I think I was rushing it. I don't know if I was just starting to date, but I know it was around about the time like I was dating my last boyfriend. And I just remember like he was about to come over or something. I'm just like, oh my gosh, my hair look like something. I'm like, it's since then I know that's what it was. I know that for sure. Like, and my hair had just never been the same.
Speaking of boyfriend.
Oh yeah, good, right. Good transition, right? Now, y'all. So remember last week, y'all, right?
Somebody's birthday paid.
Yeah, you said what?
Somebody's birthday, I remember that.
Right. I was like, oh, somebody special to me, their birthday. Child, that another one bites the dust, y'all. That's dead and burning. It's gone. It's over. The neat. So, girl, and girl, I'm now. I will say, okay, so let me go. I'm gonna start from the beginning because clearly it's a short story. He was my boyfriend for all of 48 hours. And so the first and last 48. Okay. So
Oh wow.
It was cute. Like I met him, I went out. Shout out to Shaniqua, that's my baby. So she had been trying to take me out. Like she just kept saying, like, friend, like, let me just, get you out. Okay.
Shaniqua, the one that does nails?
Yes. Sorry, I was reading. Okay, I'm gonna get to that news in a minute. But yeah, so shout out to her. She'd been trying to just get me out or whatever. And I had definitely been bluffing like for a minute because I'm just the worst. And so with that, not in general, pretty decent person. Moving on. So finally, and I was actually gonna bluff that day too. That's what's really crazy. So like if it had a side note confession, that what was I about to say? I just dang, what was I about to say? Oh wow, it's gone now. I was about to confess something and it's gone. I think it was relevant. I'm not sure it was. I need to stop reading this news. I'm gonna get to that in a second because so yeah, oh, there we go. There's my confession. It's back. See, as soon as I close the chat. I like it's something about like when I date or just really whoever I end up with, I do look forward to it being. I know like the story will be whatever the story will be. So if we met in a dumb way, oh well. But I do like I don't know. I can admit that I think that probably helps me kind of fall for something or someone like, oh, look at this little lineup. Look how this falls into place. This is cute, right? It's something to tell the kids, right? So I met him. No, I actually met his father first. So Shaniqua and I, we go out, we link up. Like I said, I was really even going to bluff, like even that day of, and I was just like, oh, I had all my nieces and nephews over. My sister had come over. So first I'm like, oh, this could just be family day. But I'm like, shoot, like, you know what? I just might actually take this opportunity that I can leave out the house and an opportunity to put on some clothes, look like something. All right. So I do that. And so
Where'd
also,
y'all go?
so I'm getting to that. So I had to keep in mind that it was just so many different little things of why I was really about to talk myself out of it. Because also like Shaniqua is definitely I don't know how I link up with friends that are punctual, but she's definitely one of them. And so like you're gonna like if she say 7, we meet at 7, she expects like at 7 or some type of communication or whatever. So and y'all know me, especially back in the day, especially when I used to actually go out, oh Lord, lately. So anywho, and so, but it just worked out, right? So I'm like, okay, whatever. So I still can't think of, that's why I said I was getting to it. I still can't think of the name of the place. Like, went to like, I guess you can call it like a bar restaurant or whatever. And I wish I could remember the area that we went in. Like it worked out to where I'm thinking I was really going to bluff, but I didn't. So it worked out to where because I wondered, like, wanted us to ride together. So it worked out for me to actually get to her house in time and all that. And then we ride together and we just kept riding around because she clearly would know where to go better than I would. She had always been in the know, and even though, like since she's become a mommy and all that, she claims like she don't know nothing, like know where to go. But baby, she would definitely know better than I would. So I was leaving it all in her hands, and it was just sweet. Like she really was just like, I'm just taking you out, friend. Like it's on me. Like come on, we just gonna go outside. And so we started driving around like different areas that she knows, whatever. So I know we get downtown-ish, and long story short, we find this cute little like bar. We're on the corner. We're just like, oh, like what is this? Catches an eye. We go in. We are seated back in the Rosa Parks section because there's this long table. Like it's all the white folks like around the bar, whatever. We are brought to the back, right? There's this long table of like all these like black men, right? I was like, okay, so this is the black section. Got it. So here we are placed in front of them on this 2-seated, table or whatever, in front of this long buffet of men, like as if we're fresh meat. Like that's the way I was thinking, but whatever. So, we're just us, and it was fine. Like they were like older, like let's say 40s, maybe some 50 or whatever. Okay, cool. So of course, naturally,
I need to know the name of that spot.
Child, you don't try. Listen, no, you don't.
I'm trying to meet me some 40s.
Yeah, not none of them. None of them. Not the one that wanted to talk to her that he was married, sir. So,
no.
Right. That's what I said. No, you don't. So the first one that like turned around and spoke to us would have been asked like, hey, can I come sit at y'all? I say, what up? Sure, sir. mind you, I'm already thinking like, I just don't want to be bothered. Like, but okay, whatever. Like, let's have a good time. Like, okay. So long story short, he gets into saying like that he was like out. I'm using the word recruit. I know he didn't use that word, but it doesn't matter. That he was like recruiting like for a son, like he's looking for a son. Cause I know at some point, like me and Neek, we look at each other like, girl, ain't nobody interested in him. Like, no, thank you. Right. And so, but he's just like, no, like I'm not looking for me. Like I'm married or whatever. I'm looking for my son. Like I want him, be somebody, good or whatever, blah, blah, blah. Okay, mommy, hi, mommy. And so, so that was it. So it goes on and on because he's just like, he had also definitely been drinking. So it's like heightened, but in a sense, like the underline of it is kind of cute, right? I can't lie. But neither one of us are biting. Like me and Nika just like, so he's like, well, y'all choose. I'm not gonna choose for him. Like, y'all choose which one of y'all gonna reach out to him. I'm gonna write his number down and y'all take it, blah, blah, blah. We leaves it right there. Like, ain't nobody doing this. So he had got on the phone at some point, like, yeah, I got you 2 honey buns. Like, blah, blah, blah. We're like, okay, definitely not taking this number now. Sorry, go away. So, and then further on, at some point, he has like one of his friends, he's like, hey, such and such, come over here. I'm going to give you this. You spin around or whatever. You hand it to, blah, blah, blah. I believe, because I'm observant, right? I can be seeming and looking dumb, but I'm pretty observant. So I believe at some point I think he must have called his son. I know he called him a couple of times, but he must have called him like on FaceTime or whatever. I swear it's a piece of hair on my arm. And like turned the camera on or whatever, like for him to see, like it's to choose for himself. Who knows? But because then surprisingly or whatever, like when he has the friend turn around or whatever, and like I'm talking to Nika at some point, she's like, friend, look. And I look like, oh God, not me. Okay, thank you so much. Thank you. Put it down, right? So then the father goes, comes back or whatever, says something like, you better call him. Like, don't let me find out they done did all this work. I'm like, you know what? Now I had a mule and a half. So I'm like, you know what? Okay. I don't like nothing in my court. I'm gonna put the ball in his court. Boom, here you go. I'm gonna text him. Boom, boom. You see it? Text. Thanks. I think I probably put like hi or something, right? So, but long story short, like we talked that day. He pulled up on me with Nick and I. The story goes on, and there's all little like details in between. But because at some point I was gonna have to go back home, take the kids. Then I didn't. My brother was taking care of it. It was just crazy. So then we were able to stay out later. And so we went to like the Golden Dragon. So we're there, we're having a good time. Okay. And so at some point, like I said, by that time he and I had spoken or whatever. So I'm pull up boy, I'm just getting off of work, blah, blah, blah. That's not too far from my house, blah, 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 blah. And so we did actually like meet or whatever. Fine. Oh. I'm sure it's going to be a show. Did I ever say I probably did say long story short. So no, I'm not sure of it, but I'm
I wasn't going to say it.
Listen.
I was going to let it go.
My thing is because, look, I'm already working on shortened time. I'm trying to get it all out here because I definitely don't want it to linger on. I want to get it done only because I said I was going to talk about it today. So that's that. This is the gist of it, and then it's going to get to the end, and then that's it. So, anywho, y'all see, y'all go. Y'all know how my brain go. Thanks a lot.
The last part you said was your text. Y'all had a conversation.
Right. We had a conversation. Oh, so pulled up on me. Okay. And going dragging over that. And so, literally, and this is all full disclosure, like literally went to, so we're leaving. I'm getting in my car. No. Yeah. I go to get my car from Nick's house or whatever. And I follow him. Like I did, yo. I went to his house to pee. Like I legit did.
Wait, the father or the son?
No, not the father. Oh God, no. And so
the father. So the son wound up coming out.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. That's what I met. Like I said we met. Like he pulled up on me or whatever at Golden Dragon. And so so that was that. And so we, like I said, we did meet that night, like in person. And then so I went to his house, peed, left, literally, promise. I can't emphasize the fact that I'm not leaving out any detail. And so then like, obviously like we kept like talking like after that, whatever. So it's, it's gone on and on long enough. Okay. Like it just fine. Like nothing was beside it being like a weird, like first meet kind of thing. Like still, like, it was okay. And I was definitely on my tip of I'm not giving any more energy than I feel like it. I'm definitely not going to give any more energy than I feel like I'm receiving, right? And so all this time, like, it felt like, okay, like, you know what? Like, in my head, and I'm sure I've probably said, like, out loud, jokingly, like, you lead, I follow. Like, I'll follow where you lead, and we're going to see. If it's somewhere I want to go, then okay. If it's not, then it's not. Fast forward to, it was actually on his birthday, so last week, right? That he had, like, asked me, Siri, ain't nobody talking about you, girl. And so that's when he asked me, like, officially, like, how would you feel, if we worked on us? I would really like I really like you, yada yada yada. And so I was just like, okay, like we can try that. We can move in that. Child, not only to be 2 days later to where your son's mother needs to move back in. Be blessed. See, now y'all asked me, I told you. Because what I need,
swerve pull over and like,
okay, back door,
right, back door. I love it.
You passed my stop. You missed my stop. I'm pushing the tape. It don't work back here. No, I don't. No, we're not gonna. We can't. We actually can't be friends. Like, ain't no point. I'm not gonna lie. Now, this is what, again, full disclosure, because it ain't no point of, like, leaving anything out. I went through my little moment of being sad, a little mad, right? Because I will actually admit that I liked him. No lie. Like, that was what was weird to me, because y'all know I'd have been on here and told y'all about different ones that I've entertained or whatever that did not work out, yada yada yada. And I'll come out and say, like, not just because, it didn't work out, but literally be like, you know what, when I really thought about it, I didn't really like that person, yada, yada, yada. This one, excuse me, I actually did. Like, I was like, bro, like, I really felt like, oh, is this about to be some, and this is how I knew I liked him. So I'm the person, the epitome of, if I actually like you, I don't know what to say, or just, like, things about me are different, right? And so the people, this is so backwards, but the people that I did not like, I know I even would be on the phone, like, with my sisters, like, girl, get ready for the wedding. Da, da, da. I didn't do any of that with this one. Like, it was just like, you know what? If this actually going to be, let's let it, okay. Like, I definitely don't want to rush it, not even jokingly in my head, like, none of that. Like, let's just kind of let it coast, let it be, and chill. Yeah. And so let's just keep on going. Like, and it's crazy. Like, I appreciate of just, like, talking, like, I really do like you, and da, da, da. Okay. All right. But
let me ask you this, though, Benia. Mm-hmm. How long had it been since his son's mom lived there?
Sometime. I don't think it's been a whole year yet. I'll say that.
Why did she have to move back in? Do you know?
No, that I don't. I'm not. Now, that's my issue. Not that's my issue. That's a problem of mine. No, I don't. Not that I had it of them. I mean, like me, like a Benia problem. Like, I don't. You bring me something like that, like, I don't want no details. Like, all right, I just know, you know what I mean? I ask, because automatically that means that you're, entertaining it, probably about, make that decision, whatever the case may be. And because of the way I think, automatically I'm like, well, either it's you want this, or that clearly that there has not been enough severed between you two, that, to me, the way I would think of it is, okay, my son can come home. Like, and so you need to figure some things out. Like, hey, like, if that was not the automatic thing for you, and that could very well mean that there's something still between you, or just that you haven't cut, stuff up for yourself and in a healthy way. All the things that we talk about here on the B Mix. So the whole point of me sharing this, one, of just, beside being just transparent with y'all, two, is to get to the point of make sure this is literally the reason why, one, from not even taking heed of what we talked about last week of cultural differences and all that, because of when you get into something with someone, also, it should, well, not also, but it should be, you should be getting into something with someone that you can visit the conversation around how you get out of things, whether if it is from their last situation, or even if maybe, heck, of asking, like, hey, if we were to break up, how would you want that to happen? Because I'll be honest, if I think about the far end of marriage, I know for sure I plan to have the conversation about prenup. You get what I'm saying? Like, I want my future husband to know exactly where I'm coming from about prenup, even if he was to marry me right now when my money is funny, okay? But, like, I would want to understand, like, I would want to get to the place where we love each other so much, or I know for me that I would love you so much that I would want which the was ain't enough, but if, God forbid, we did get to that point, I would want it to be easy peasy, like easy cut, go ahead. Like, people take it from me, or my experiences, I have learned that people take it differently and think like, oh, you must not have really loved me, or you must not have really liked me if you can just let me go so easily. No, that actually, from me, shows how much I actually was into you, that I'd rather it be peaceful and cut off. Like, so for many different reasons and things and ways, like, it's another one bites the dust, but also it's a bullet. I mean, it's one that clearly I just missed.
Hey, is this a conversation topic, or
what?
Did you want us to hear the story? Because I was
Share your opinion, please.
So that's what I'm gonna say. Not to say I would have handled the situation differently, but not to say that I wouldn't have come to the same conclusion.
Okay,
but just because you said you felt the connection, and I personally would have asked more questions, even though I might have still removed myself from the situation. But that's also why I asked you how long it had been since they had been together or living together. Because one thing that I have come to realize, some people are friends with their children's other parents.
Right.
To the point where they would look out. But that's why I asked. So
I get that. I do. I can hear that. I also, though, just have to consider, I guess, like with so many, as you talk to people, like, I'm observant. I think that's the thing why I don't necessarily ask a lot of questions. Like, I can get around to, like, asking questions. I also have just had the response, of like my questions, apparently, like, they pierce, right? And I never mean them to. So I'm just observant enough to be able to conclude, like, either way, even if, like, I can't say I've been able to conclude anything beside, like, between them, because I didn't care enough, like, when it got to that point, because either way, what I knew initially, like, immediately was, well, it's not like I would be comfortable with, or that it would work with us still trying to build a relationship, and your baby's mama, because I hate that term, but your son's mother, living there, clearly feeling like some sense of like entitlement, like, no, like, clearly. So basically it would mean like, I'm not invited there, so I can never come to your house. I already don't like that. Like, I like relationships, friendships, all that. Like, I like it open. Like, it should be open. Like, what is there to be like? No. And even if we
I've heard of
situations, huh?
I've heard of open situations like that.
Okay.
So I didn't know, like, if it was going to be short term, or like, hey, she's going to be here.
And that's my thing, right? And that's my thing too. But I also feel like me asking those questions would mean it's just like, well, hey, like, how can we work? No, because first of all, one, you're also not feeding it that way. You are just like, yo, I got to deal with my. Okay, like, you're like, there was nothing to me, like, it was very, he sounded like it was very unfortunate, that he was overwhelmed and saddened by the whole situation. Like, that I can give him. Like, I do feel like that was genuine, but the whole point of, like, it was nothing else to be like, hey, like, well, I'm sorry, let me not say nothing. So initially it was just like, I remember saying like, I'm a something, like, I got to figure this out of how to work this out with my girlfriend. Then it transitioned into like, I might be losing my girlfriend. And then this, like, so I will say, like, I guess I observe or witness like his evolution of, his thought process. And I'll give him that. Like, okay, at least you consider that. But also a like don't hold no weight to love or in love. Like, that was a, one of those situations that was a bad relationship for you. She hurt you, yada, yada, yada. You're going to be unhappy. And apparently, if you learn that somebody has not done the necessary work that you have done with and for and through and to yourself, and they haven't done that isn't that is a part of being unequally yoked, right? Don't think that just because they don't have the same amount of responsibilities as you do, or whatever the case may be, that that's the only reason to be called unequally yoked, right? That's not the case. Like, I know that that's where I've been able to cut off these, other ones that I've met and entertained through text for like a week, if that, been able to cut them off so easily, really based off of this, that it's like, it's clear to me, you can easily pick up the people that are not doing the inside work like you are doing. That's one of the biggest parts of doing this inside work for yourself, because you're able to separate and detach from those that are not, because it's not healthy for you. It will draw you back. It will drain you. It will bring you down. It will, if you're fighting to get out of depression, it'll depress you all over again. And so you can get to a healthy place where you can maybe maintain some of these relationships or reestablish some of them or whatever, but not all of them are. And so either way of just like, I picked up like, it's just not, it wasn't enough like foundation there to even want to really, like we made told, like I answered, matter of fact, truth be told, like he called me earlier today, I answered, we talked, but I knew I felt me different, like, like it.
But I wasn't even saying, because I agree you shouldn't, especially because you guys just met. But I'm a firm believer in sometimes situations, people cross paths with you because they're supposed to, but it might not be the right time.
I get as well. I get that. I hear that loud and clear. I think that I also haven't allowed myself to, and probably because it took me, it took me, like I said, I went through my day. It took me a day. Yeah, I said a day and a half. I don't know. It took me a day. So 2-day relationship, a day to really like just work through my low emotions or whatever. Shout out to my Aunt Mary being there too, girl. I think my Aunt Mary definitely added to my emotions. But like it was just like, okay, work through this, work through that. And so I had to be cautious of, if I do ask or even want to ask certain questions of more detail, or, hey, how was this? That just means that I'm signing up for it. Like that would be me like fighting for, I'm not fighting for it. I'm not.
You think that's what that means?
For me, yes. For me to ask, for Benia to ask more questions, that means I care. That means that I want to know, and I want to know for a reason. I don't just ask questions just for the heck of it. Like I'm never that person. Words mean a lot to me. I always say, like, I don't want to take my last breath at wasting a word, wasting it with a word or a question or a phrase that holds no value. Like I always say that, like, to myself. Like,
I'm an information gatherer,
and that's okay. That's what I said.
I like to ask questions, and I'll still cut you off. And just because I like to test people, I like to see how you respond. I like to see if you like. I want to see all of that so I can get a full formed decision. And sometimes I like to see how people respond under pressure.
Right, and I hear that. I think that, and it's funny because you like you said earlier, like we are saying some of the same thing. Like I know I gather that information differently because it's literally based off of observation for me. Because people, talk enough. You know what I mean? Like for me, or if I'm ever in a situation where I need to ask questions in order to get that, sure. But truthfully, like it was just like enough. Like coming out of it was just like, yeah, okay, I probably. Even though I didn't want to accept it initially, it was like, I guess I dodged a bullet. I didn't want to believe that because I liked it. I was okay. Like, all right, I had just started like telling people, like had just started saying something, like, and it was just like, oh, that, all right, okay, well, reel this back in. Like, no, we are not off the market. We are.
I definitely, over the course of the last few months, I've had very similar situations several times where it was like people I like, not the same exact, like,
yeah, I got you.
But people I like got excited, then and it is sad because that excitement be so grand that then when it just be like, dang, again.
Right.
Again.
And see, I said, oh Lord, for you, because when you said several times, because it was just like, child, this was the one time compared to the multiple of that I have, met and like I said, and entertained and just been like, nah, like easily, like in a short amount of time, easily. So it's like, I couldn't imagine doing this back to back to back. It's like, yeah, let me close close myself off, like, and not, and no, I'm lying, actually. That is what I had to realize, or that I have realized since, that that's not how I feel. Like, I just feel like, okay, like, I mean, I'm cautious now, but I'm okay. Like, if somebody else come along, like, I'm not, I think automatically some type of guard goes up, but it's like, it's not a solid wall. It's like, it's the bars or something. Like, a nigga could see through them and, try to make an approach, instead of it being any other time where it's just like, nope, absolutely not, don't nobody talk to me. So either way, like, I just can imagine, like you said, like, just with it being more than one, because like you said, you go through that whole thing. And that was why, back to what was I about to say earlier, when in response to you just saying, like, about asking, like, the questions and all of that. Oh, that's what it was about, like, even of, like, how long is she going to stay? My thing is, I don't want to have to ask you that. I would truthfully will want it to be where, not even for me and like an us, but it would be to the point where I would want you as a man, as the man in the scenario, to be the person. And I feel this way for anybody. If anybody ever, like, talks to me, or no, not talks, ask my opinion, I only give it if it's asked, of like, hey, how should I handle this? I don't really want this person to stay with me, but da, da, da. That's when I always am sure to bring up, because I know that I am not built for roommates. It's either you came from me or you doing it to me. Like, that's it. That's all the people I can live with. And it's something about a lot of people that will allow, like, people to live with them and not have these conversations like, hey, how long? So that way we can visit this when that time is coming up. Contribution. You have to consider, especially if it's another adult, like, you can have to consider natural urges of, like, they're gonna want company or this and that. And if they live there, like, I want people to be comfortable. I don't want nobody in here like, no, can't have no company, can't be happy. No. So I'd rather just not. I can't live with no other no other human, no other adult. You know what I mean?
I don't like living with people either.
Right? So it's just,
I don't even like living with people that do it to me.
God. So my thing is, listen, but my things I do, like, I look forward to that. It's funny because I still be around here sometimes, be like, oh Lord, I have to change this, huh? It's some things I know for sure to change, but I'm okay with it because of just who I am and how I am in a relationship, to where I'm not losing myself, especially of all that I've worked on, all that I know now. But that's the whole point there. It's just like, yo, I put that in my notes. I got to no notes. I'm gonna get to all of these notes next week. But like, like, one note that I did make on a totally different note that I'm thinking about now that I didn't even look at, but it's just coming to mind. So thank you, Lord, for reminding me. But I remember, here it is. Is it easier to be unhappy? Like, I think for him, apparently, unfortunately, and if you ask me, he's definitely like I'm saying decent enough, but that's because I'm making a joke in my head, but like a decent enough person, like, that doesn't, like, that deserves to just be in a better scenario. Like, but hey, you eat what you make. And like, if it's easier for you to choose to be unhappy instead of really, like, putting foot down and making things known and making things clear, knowing that, it's this and it's that, and it had been this and that with this person. I don't know what to tell you. And I can only imagine. So I'm trying not to speak from a situation. I know if you feel as though maybe that's the only way or the better way to be able to have or see yourself, like, an amazing father, for sure, like, hands down. So I do feel for him there. It's just like, I guess he felt like, Lord, if I say no to this, like, am I not gonna be able to get my son? Am I not? So I can only imagine.
It's definitely. I done heard some stories on the male perspective of co-parenting, but one thing I will say is I've been really putting into practice, because I am also a person that kind of likes to talk to one person at a time. Is that I'm trying to move slower, man, and I'm trying to get to know as many people as I can, even at the same time. It's always a process of elimination, though. But, like, to continuously put your eggs in one basket sometimes just be like high lows.
Absolutely.
And sometimes even with the multiple people, but that's why I'm really working from a place of trying to move slow, really get to know a person. And so that way, because I know that I'm such a caring person and I can get really invested in a relationship really quick. I slowness is like it's been like my motto for like for the last 3 years, really, because
Good though. That it's necessary.
But this is the thing. I don't know why I even say that. I always move slow. What am I talking about? But all of the relationships that I've been in, those were the situations where I did not move slow.
Hey, got it.
But in between that, I moved slow. I recluse, separate, ended out quickly because, you know, a lot of times the red flags be blatant. And so it's like you almost can't ignore it. But I think one of the main things, those guys that are charismatic or charming, they can really they can grab hold.
Yeah,
sometimes.
Absolutely.
And those actually is the ones that I've been in relationships. I only been in 3 relationships.
Listen, same. And I just want to be very clear and put this all out there, yo. This one does not count. Okay, thanks.
Like, no, it doesn't.
Thank you.
I don't even count one. And matter of fact, I just said 3, but really it's 5. But I don't count 2 of them because we was only together. Like for me, in adult life, can you really count being in a relationship for a month?
Thank you. Like, listen, I have 2 relationships, and now I understand. It's crazy. I used to never understand why people be like, "Oh, I've only been in 1 serious relationship." So I'm like, what did that mean, right? So now I get it. I've been in 2 serious relationships, and I used to think that had to be like lengthy because my first one was so long. But there was actually one before then when we were in high school for 2 months. That does not count. And then one in adulthood, literally after my longest one. That was the first actual relationship that I had. That was for 2 months. So again, that does not count. So I've had 2 serious relationships, and then like I said, those 2 that I count, and then this one, like. So technically that makes 5, but no, like I've not. And then really it's just like, and then, listen, I'm gonna keep quoting, and I can't even remember. I'm gonna give credit when I figure it out. But whoever originally said today's price is not yesterday's price, thank you, because that's exactly it. Like I've been saying for the longest, I don't want to be nobody's girlfriend. I don't want to have a boyfriend. It's for the longest it was, he will be whoever comes about and comes right. And then I feel like I even want to, because the thing is, in these years since my last relationship, 3, 4 years ago now, 5, I don't remember. It's like I literally, even before then, I don't think about. I do not like easily. Like how guys come about and be like, "Oh yeah, can we be friends and get to know each other?" No, because I'm not about to befriend anybody easily. 1, 2, I have to like you, and people be like, "Oh, I like you. Do you like me back?" And I'll be serious, like no, but that's because it has to come. Like let that come. Y'all be trying to force and rush something. I'm not doing it. So, but that's why I said it shook me, because this one I actually genuinely liked and had reason to like too. That was the thing. Because beforehand, when I liked like years ago someone or whatever, like it was like I didn't really have no reason to like that person. I made myself like that person. You know what I'm saying? But this one was like, oh, you know what? And still can end up not being right. And that's okay. Like that's the whole point. So it just, I'm not even gonna say unfortunately, like it just is what it is. Like, even though I kind of hate that phrase because we've been driving it home a lot. But that's a good quote. Yeah, because I feel like every time I meet a man, I'm continuously manifesting a better version of what I want. Listen. I mean, a better version of the last person that I met. Listen. And so every time after I decide, that's not it for me, I always say, like, these are the things that I liked about him. These are the things that I didn't like about him. And then it's crazy. The last 3 people that I met own houses. And I was like, yes. Girl, listen, let's talk. So that was the thing. I'm not even gonna lie. Like he owned his own house. So then another one that I've entertained before him or whatever, he owned his house. So I'm just like, okay, I like this. Like that wasn't the only thing. Like it's been ones with, really good like gigs, like, jobs or whatever, doing something like, okay, cool. And like the combination too, because beforehand you'd be like, get one or the other. This, like, I don't even want it to be where, prime example, on these dating apps where a guy will say like, oh, I got my own car, how I live by myself. I don't even like that. Like, I want that to be the standard. Like, we only have to say that. Like, yes, say it, but not. Like, I don't know. It may be a conversation, but either way, like you said, so it's just definitely things like, it's crossed my mind of like, okay, what does this mean? Like, okay, one to have their own house.
But one of the reasons why they probably put that is because I don't know about anywhere else, but in Baltimore,
okay. True.
It's incredibly common for men to not have anything. That homosexual stuff is real. These men is literally jumping from one house to the next. They jumping into quick relationships, move in with them.
Yep.
They break up. Now he got to find somebody. He got to scurry around trying to find somebody else.
Exactly. I never, ever knew that was real, but that was my actual last boyfriend, like the one from years ago. I was like, this is like after the relationship, I had to put it together like, hey, yo. Now the sad part
they
is
always living with a girl. Always.
Listen, I give credit where it's due, and I'm not even just saying it's because of me, but what I will say, even though if you ask me, it's no credit, I really feel like I want to give him. But he was in general like he was the better boyfriend that I had ever had. Like just again gave me reasons to like him, and and like actually like I loved him. I don't gonna lie, even in that short amount of time, whatever. Loved him, and I will give him the credit. I believe like loved me, but still it was based off of initially, and still and turned into being like, bro, what? Nah, I didn't even know you type of niggas exist. Like, wow, this is really happening out here. Like, nah.
Some men live their whole lives that way.
Jesus.
My father has never lived alone. And he 50 something. I mean, yeah, he 50 something. Never lived alone. Now he was incarcerated for a good chunk of time, but even still, once he came home, he lived with my grandmother. Then he got engaged, lived with a woman. When they divorced, he moved in with my cousin, which is really his aunt, but some weird stuff. But either way, moved in with her. Then he got into another relationship, moved in with her. And so it's really a thing where and I won't even say that I think that all men are like homosexuals, because my father could afford to get his own place. But he didn't. I think that some men have a fear of living alone.
Yeah.
And they want someone around to nurture them.
Absolutely. Absolutely. To the point where, again, where I said earlier, so the question posed tonight that I want y'all to just chew on, we're going to get back to a lot of this because it kind of ties into like just random notes I had. So truthfully, we are still under a series of cultural differences, and I guess this is the dating version of it, but of just how it just intertwines with everything. But is it easier to be unhappy? Like just chew on that question tonight as y'all go throughout the remainder of your day. Within these next 7 days, when we get back next Thursday, come back and talk about like, is it easier to be unhappy? Because
what unhappy from what? Like being in a relationship?
Well, anything, whatever you're unhappy is. So like when you talked about the man like living by himself or the fear of, and so then needing or wanting someone to be there to nurture them, like it made me even think back to like this one or whatever, and like his scenario is just like, bro, you're not about to, there's no way I would have even, entertained the idea of like, oh hey, yeah, we'll still be together. Okay, I get it. No, she's living with you. It's not like you're living with her. Y'all aren't living together. She's living with you. But you still need and actually want someone there to nurture you, someone to bring, to make it a home. Like, yes, you bought the house, got it. You're taking care of bills and all that, but you want that. And rightfully so. That's what a man wants. But I would want for anybody out there, especially someone that I now have met and cared for, even in a short amount of time, like, to want to have that from the right person. And even if it's not me, like I'm not pressing that, but just for it to be right. And that unfortunately some people choose for it not to even be from the right person. That is me that continues and chooses to hold out until it's from the right person, because I just am a brat in that sense. Like I want what I want when I want it from and by, whom I want it from, and that's it. If I don't get it from them, then I don't want it. That's just it.
Like, I think that definitely people are afraid to be alone.
Absolutely.
Men and women.
Absolutely.
So they stay in relationships that they are unhappy in, just so they won't be alone. And I've been that in that mindset before.
I feel like we all have.
And it's definitely a thing as an adult. You think about when you're a child, you're always usually with somebody. And then you grow up, you be on your own, you enjoy the freedom for a while, but after a while, it's like, I want to feel that same feeling of having people around me, whether it be I want to have kids and a spouse or whatever. And I think that sometimes all of that freedom gets the best of you, and then you just kind of, at some point within your adult life, say, And that's usually how most of us get into relationships that we shouldn't be in. But also, some of us never take that leap of faith to leave those relationships and we stay. There's plenty of people who've been in relationships for 40 years, 50 years, 30 years, 20 years, unhappy the whole
They're
time.
unhappy, exactly. Like
In the whole time, and that's because they were afraid.
Exactly. And so with those 2 points that you made, it makes me think of course, because everything ties into it, right? It's literally the circle of life that we think about then that freedom or that independence that we gained or maybe were forced into at some point. How were we separated from, the environments that we grew up in? So our upbringing, like for the times, that's why I totally want Black folks to get away from and out of the idea of, hey, my child is at some certain age, let me kick them out, because then what happens later on, then now that you can't tell me that doesn't cultivate a fear of, let me leave this bad relationship for myself, because, oh no, this is that detachment that literally births the attachment issues, right? I mean, everything that you said, like it really
and it gives you the same exact feeling.
Exactly.
Relive those feelings you used to have, especially if you never properly dealt with it. If you never properly dealt with it, then now you're afraid to go back to a situation that you already knew to be uncomfortable initially, when it actually could wind up being quite awesome. Like I am actually, like my whole entire 20s, pretty much when I was single before I got into my 2-year relationship, the entire time, and I think that that's one of the things that society does a disservice for women more so than men, of feeling like they have to find somebody and feeling like they can't be happy if they single. Like, and so during that time, it was always a thing where it was like, oh, I want to find a man. I need to find a man. I don't got a man. I need a man. It's like, then boom, I got a man.
Right.
Man.
Right. Oh man, exactly. Then you be like, oh my gosh, I didn't pray the right prayer. I wasn't specific enough. Girl, just girl or guy, sir, nobody, person, like cut it out. Just let things be. And I know sometimes, clearly, I know that sometimes get rough. Like definitely times be like, bro, what's up? Like, what about me? Why nobody checking for me? I'm good. I'm the home girl. I want to call me sis. Cool, but bro, like what's up? But either way, I still, even still, when it is at its heart, like roughest of being single and all that, and it is definitely not as bad as I thought it would have been going into it, right? And being single for so long now, but it's just like, bro, I still would choose this over being in the wrong anything, the wrong friendship, the wrong relationship, being too close to the wrong family member. Like, if it is not good for me, it does not fuel my peace, I do not want.
Exactly.
Simple. Like as simple as that.
I was about to say something, but I forgot what.
Like that, just
something about sex.
Okay. With that in mind, though, like the question is definitely going to take us into next week is who or what are you in submission to? And my thing is that's even as the man. So of course, as we, talk about, as always the controversies, but whatever, like the hierarchies of like, if we think of just in the home. So if we think of the scenario, like a family unit of like a, married couple, children type scenario, right? We know is the man being the head of household, right? And, if you're believers, then it's, you're ruled by, of course, there's God, then there's, man and wife, but, man serves as the priest of the household and all that, yada. So either way, even as the man, so if you are the dominant person, so for a household with a single mother, right? So I am clearly the head of household of my home. So whoever is at the head of the home or of the, business, CEOs out there, right? Business owners, folks that are in leadership in different capacities at work, your churches, your, sororities, fraternities, whatever the case may be, who are you in submission to? And then how does that play a role? Like, what does that say? That's going to definitely be what we chew on and get into a lot more of next week. But just keep that in mind of even of what we've talked about today, like, and even last week. I mean, this is really like a series, like a continuum. because it makes sense. Like, is it, societies or families, preferences and conditions, as Jasmine was just talking about, of us, like, gotta have a man. I didn't obtain all of this. I done this on my own. Thank God. God didn't walk me through and bless me with this, but I got to have a man. I found myself in that way. And it's been like, that's where I think it comes from. Like, it happens when you least expect it. So instead of me, yeah, sure. Like, if that is the goal for folks that want to be together and that are meant to be, and as we know, just even in Bible, that it's meant for man and woman to be together, and right? That, person wants to find their person or be found or come together with their person, their rib, right? But I still
also you manifest it.
Like, it's just not supposed to be just. Go ahead, Jazz.
Also, you manifest the energy that you put out. I feel like if you operate from a place of desperation, like we talked about the homosexuals, for instance, homosexuals are desperate because they need to find a place to live. And that is contingent on being in a relationship.
Exactly.
Because you can't... most of the time, homosexuals don't take care of their responsibilities. They're not going to contribute to the rent. And they go after women who have more than them because they need to be taken care of sometimes. But when you get to a place where you're not operating out of desperation, you booked and busy, you taking care of your business, you focused on you or whatever the case, then you attract somebody with that same mindset. Because that's the energy you putting out. It might not happen right away, but I think that's why God tests us through different scenarios, because we meet a person, sometimes people just latch, like, oh, that's it, latch. And so it really takes time to fully get to know a person. I'll say in every relationship that I had for over a year, my shortest relationship was 2. Well, in my long terms. The shortest long term was 2, and then the longest long term was 3. But even still, with each of those relationships, every year that passed, I always felt like, wow, I did not know that person. Like, I thought I knew them as much as I could. But then here goes another year past, and I feel like I've learned so much about them that I didn't even know. Which is one of the reasons why I always wonder how people... Well, I don't wonder now. I used to, but we just talked about why.
No, listen, that's fine. Like, and I think first of all, that's a good thing. But then, of course, we know that it could be a bad thing of, like, learning about someone. Because I do believe that if I, like, the two serious relationships I'm talking about, especially the very first one, I know absolutely everything about them. Especially that very first one. I mean, like the back of my hand. And I got to the point where it's like, well, I still don't have to give you the credit just because I know you so well. Like, you still should be, speaking and saying and communicating, yada, yada, yada. And so life is about continuously learning someone, especially the person that you are with, the people that you're closest with and around, surrounded by. But once you get to the point where you know everything about the person, like that's it. What else is there? Right. And so so that could be the good of like you said, every year to pass. But I understand now it's just like, if you're learning like worse and more toxic traits, or worse habits, or and
it wasn't even bad things. Like it wasn't bad.
Okay,
I don't know if that was what you got from it.
No, I was just
I got to know them.
Speaking to the audience of either side, but yeah, that's a good thing. That's what I'm saying. So I spoke on a good thing first, and then so like it could be a bad thing. So you have to, the point to get to is that it could be, either or, but it's about you getting to the place of figuring that out. Just like it is for you to figure out different people that come in your life, if they are, sent by God or sent by the devil. Like both send people in your lives. We talked about this a good man. I definitely remember that show. Like God sends people in your life, and so does the enemy. Okay. And so it is for you to decipher who's in there to bless your life or stress your life. Okay. Like which one you choosing. And so, but yeah, that's it. And that it's always, we're talking about the homosexual. Go ahead.
Or test your life.
And so you'll be tested if they're going to bless or stress. So that's the thing too. Like and so you figure out, is that test sent, are they coming into your life to test your life or for it to be a blessing on the end of it? or a blessing through it? Or is that test only to stress you out? Like, is it the SAT, or is it to shout out to the fact that we'll get into that piece of news because I ain't even shared the other news yet. I'm getting to before we get out of here.
Lessons.
Right. Like, is it that, or is it, one of these other exams that really helps you realize the knowledge that you have gained, or is it just the SAT that's just some standard thing that they say really matters that doesn't really? Okay. Like, just saying. So it all goes back to, especially if just even bringing up like hobosexuals of like, again, what are you in submission to? She talked about desperation. Like, if you are a person, I'm speaking to male, female, or questionable, whatever, however you identify, if you are in submission to, if you are in submission to, desperation, and that is a whole different, that's a very broad genre, because here it is, we sometimes fall into desperation because of what was I about to say? The what we were talking about earlier of the society or the family of saying like, oh, you need a man or this or that, just those different things that they put on you. Like, you fall into those things. And sometimes you fall into desperation, like, okay, because that's conditioning. The result of conditioning sometimes can be desperation. And that's not what we want to feed to the next generation. We want to feed empowerment, enlightenment, uplifting, them. And, from where we are, it's like, you can't tell me we're the generation that it started from the bottom. Like, it came crashing down to the millennials, and now it's time to build up from there. Like, baby, ain't no lower than where the millennials had to go. Like, and I'm not discounting anything that's happened before us, but we got all this knowledge of what didn't happen before us at our fingertips, right? And then we have to experience everything, the transition of just the world turning, and now of pushing forward and pushing upward. Like, it's tough, So again, it goes back to what or who are you in submission to? Believers, you already know what our answers should be, just saying. But, like, I get that there's, a worldly concept as well. Like, so the very things that you claim to be in submission to, or that you may be in submission to, that you are not, that you do not acknowledge or do not recognize, then that is something for you to bring yourself or familiarize yourself with. You should definitely be familiar with who or what you are in submission to. Just saying. We have two pieces of news, y'all, that I kindly had to skip over earlier because that thing threw me way off of my game when we talked about it earlier. So, first piece of news reads, and I'm reading it verbatim. Joey Badass says he doesn't ejaculate during sex to preserve my life force, quotes, and thinks masturbation is weird. Moving right along. So, yeah, like I
guess I can see it, but
and listen, I'm not mad. I will say that that's my only thought about it. I'm not mad at it. Like, and I'm not mad at him even, because sometimes I know I can be like, why do people even think to say that? But I get it. Like, okay, like, to get people to talking about it, because there are.
I thought masturbation was natural, though. I thought everybody did it.
I don't know.
I started masturbating when I was a kid.
Really? I did not. It's like I just
very young. Before I even knew what sex was.
Gotcha, Kay.
What is that?
Kay. See, so I wonder.
What is that?
Huh?
I didn't see what he said.
Oh wait.
The message. Let me go.
Monty said it's weird maybe if you're looking at yourself in the mirror while doing a grind. Well, I mean, not really. If anything, that'll really set a mood. But go ahead. Now listen, that'll really do it. But yeah, I don't think I'm not gonna, obviously I can't speak on and say if everyone does it, because we know there's certain parts of the world where they're not even allowed to. But
which is so trippy to me, because how can anybody know what you're doing with your hands?
Thank you. Like, muffle that.
How do you know?
I ain't got to let out that big. Just hit you. All right. Well, it's done now. So
but that's why that mutilation is real. That genital mutilation, because in those other countries, because the thing is that they know that it'll probably happen. They're trying to prevent it from happening, so they take away the sensation.
That is like it's inhumane.
Which is foul.
Like I wouldn't even have a something a little bit. Like I kind of understand like spading and neuter, like everything, like all of that. I'd be like, it's inhumane. I get it, but but that oh God no. I couldn't imagine.
I know I've heard of like something of like women having their clitoris cut off,
right?
Their vagina sewn shut, and I know it was partially to prevent like premarital sex, but also it's preventing masturbation as well.
Right?
Because how you gonna do it?
Right. Like, and so when the urge cut, like, Lord, like I know there. I mean, so many different things on just on the topic. Like there is obviously I'm going to always mention like a spiritual realm. There's a spiritual realm of the point where if you ever just do not want to and see that it feeds maybe your drive, right? And so if you are trying to abstain, that it really is a real thing of praying and asking for God, because He really will relieve you of that, like of the urge. Like I've done that, and then at some point then I got to the place of like, well, no, now I want to submit to he's talking about being a submission to like submit to the urges now, to the temptation, and now I'm giving it to the temptation, so like there are different things, but then there are these other like extreme measures to take as well. Like it's mind-boggling. But I'll be honest, like to go back to his statement, like I'm not necessarily mad of saying like to preserve his life force. I would want to know. I probably want to read more into that now, because first at first glance I really didn't want to, but because I was just like, okay, I get it. All right, his opinion, cool. But preserve his life force, because I just wonder is, first of all, it like if it helps to abstain from it or to at least refrain from it, to peel back for it not to become an addiction. Like there are really, unfortunately, too many, and I'm just speaking on men for right now, too many men out here that we know of or heard of, or just men get in conversation, get to talking like, yeah, man, what? I watch porn all the time, and I'm doing this all the time, and I like it is the addiction of like I'll only speak for the Baltimore area. Like it seems like it is just too much of a norm that a Baltimore man is talking about just being like over. I don't even want to say overly sexually active.
But you can be overly sexually. I heard that your penis can stop working. Like it'll stop getting hard all the way. Penile just if you release your seed too much.
And so I always wondered if it was true. Like when they were like, "You better stop, you're gonna go blind." But I don't know if that has any truth to it. But just I'm sure I'm talking about what I said. But even if that like is true, like if it stopped working, because I really think of literally when I think of like the men that are just either so sexually active now and or the ones that masturbate so much and all that, when you settle down, because I know it's always the ones that I ain't never sometime worried about marriage or whatever, those ones that's been hurt, right? And so speaking from their hurt, but once they do, if and when at some point you're gonna be with somebody long term ish, right? Like then what she got to deal with? That's not fair. Like so she got to deal with that because you've been out here in the streets. Like cut it out. Like that.
You better get a pump.
Listen, who wants to do? I don't want to do all that. I don't know. I don't want to do all that. I don't.
You gotta be a great man. I'll pump it for him. Squeeze a little pump.
And you know what? I support you in that because I'm I don't want it.
Not now, though. I would have to be old.
To the point where we said that masturbation is weird. I think we already spoke to that. Like, it's just, I do believe it's natural. I think that, of course, everything in moderation, because again, it could be, and I'm only really thinking toward the people that are trying to or practicing, abstaining, from sex, or at least, like I said, trying to. And so, masturbation, truthfully, unfortunately, like by it being natural, it can go all different types of ways, but it can really fuel the appetite. And that's where the issue comes in. It'll be like, because I know me, it'll be like, no, now I want the real thing. Well, what? No, I don't want that. So I don't know. To each his own. Be safe. They do say love is the best love. So
Yeah, really getting to know your body and knowing what you like is important.
Exactly.
Nobody gonna know how to touch you until you tell them. Like, oh no, I don't like that. I don't like that. Oh yeah, I like that. Keep going.
Right. To be able to, right. You don't wait for that. Not necessarily you don't wait for that other person to be the only reason why you know that you like something. So it's a catch-22 because of course I'm always saying on the spiritual realm too. It's like, listen, if you're single, abstain from it, baby, because don't let it mess your mind up. Lord, premarital sex, it really does complicate things. I ain't lying. Been there, done that. Been there, done that. And not too far from it. Moving on. Here's the last piece of news before we get out of here, literally in like 2 minutes. Christopher Brown. Is his real name Christopher? Okay. Chris Brown is being sued $20 million for rape, allegedly drugged a woman on a yacht. So, baby, when I tell you this sexual...
Listen, I'm not surprised.
Be part of it. Right.
Honestly, I'm not surprised about anything that comes out with these men with money.
Exactly.
Because...
the ones without money are doing, so yeah,
right.
Absolutely.
Right. It's nothing for me to... Even though... Oh, yeah, no, I'm not surprised.
Oh, because
especially in that culture, they do drugs.
Yeah. Right. And it just whatever's normal.
They do drugs. So like it's nothing. Right. That was a good culture topic.
Right. Right. No child. We might have to.
It's definitely a different realm of people. Like,
see,
they literally make more money than I have made my entire working career. So.
I know. As of yet, that's far. Put that thus far in there. Oh Lord, it just keep getting gooder and gooder. Okay, not gooder and gooder, badder and badder. But apparently it happened 12/30/2020 at Diddy's house. Well, on the yacht, I guess the yacht outside the house. Okay, yikes. Yeah. Ew. See, ill, and ill. Y'all don't pay no mind in my hair getting crazy. But I think I have a mouthful for that, and I think we might come back to that next week because in Miami. See, again, I do concur with you though. I'm not surprised, and it's unfortunate. That is why I have a mouthful because it's unfortunate of why it's just like I'm not necessarily normalizing it, but unfortunately to put a but in there. But I'm not surprised by it. And I do hate that's a disgusting sentiment to have, to be like, oh, I'm not surprised. And what I will say is, in closing out, is I acknowledge, even it being alleged, acknowledge this, it said woman, right? Yeah, woman. Acknowledge this woman's experience. And I'm sorry. Like, I may not be the person that she wants an apology from, but I really generally do apologize for this being an experience, even an alleged experience. That means that it was something close enough to be, even if it is misconstrued, right? Because we still have to go off the fact that it's alleged. But, I do apologize to this woman seriously. And then for Chris and everyone else involved, seek help and cut it out. All this culture mess, cut it out. That's when she says Chris led her drugged up body to a bedroom where he closed the door, stopped her from leaving, removed her bikini bottoms, and started kissing her. I just don't want us to be I just don't want this to be any longer. Like, I don't want this to be life. I don't. If I could erase, I would have do a lot of erasing, but I just don't want these things. Like this, all of this is disgusting that we hear these stories over and over and over again. And then the countless ones that we don't hear of. Like, I could definitely go on and on and on about it. And it's the same way we feel about when it comes to these racial injustice, issues that we see played out publicly, that we are on edge, waiting for the verdict. And then it's one that's not in our favor, as a community. I think of that I'm sure of any other victim out there, that especially for those that have had the experience that their story was not told and is by a celebrity and that they're waiting to hear. And then these things where things are swept under the rug. Like, I just think of all different types of scenarios, and it is just more than unfortunate. And I'm, again, to any woman, any person I will step back, any person that has had any experience relative to this, whether it be, involving a celebrity or not, because that does not devalue your experience. Just because, if your attacker was not a celebrity or seemed to be, your story, your experience, your temple is of value. And I want you to carry that. I wish for you, and I mean, not say want, because I don't want to place any demands on you, but my wish for you is to carry it for the rest of your days as such, as a temple that you value and that you only allow others to have access to, that value it as much as, if not more than you do. I myself, as a victim, my heart always for anyone, again, for even an alleged experience. It's disgusting. It is totally disgusting. And there are all different types of victims that fall under all different types of genres and sexes and genders and things. And so we don't devalue anyone's experience here. And so love and light to each of you out there. I wouldn't be, if I leaned any other side of you fussing on Chris and all, like, I wouldn't even know what to say. Like, ugh. Just everyone do better. Again, what are you in submission to? Feel free, as you are out dating, this is for everyone, as you are out dating or talking, entertaining folks, feel free for that to be a question that you ask. I don't care. Even if you get out of the idea of thinking that certain things are corny to say, in those initial conversations, like, oh, I don't want to ask this on the first date. I don't want to ask this in our first text conversation. Ask it. Because my thing is, if it's with somebody that you can't bring it up to, if it's with somebody that you feel like they're not going to receive it, then that's your answer right there. You don't need anything else beyond that. Is that understood? Y'all got it? Got it good? All right. We're done. We're over time. I'm sorry. Jazz, thank you for allowing me to fuss and vent.
No problem.
Appreciate your insight. I love you all. This has been another episode of the B Mix right here only on BigSpoolsRadio.com. Be the mix that you are. Go ask some folk in your life what or who they are in submission to and see where those conversations go and report back as we get back into that next week. Till next time, thank you, Jazz, for being on here. Thank you, Monty, for dealing with me being way over time. Peace. Thank you.